My name is Christine Walker, and I'm delighted to be hosting this brand new series of the stories of the afterlife for MNI Publishing. We're celebrating an important milestone as we bring you our very first book released by MNI Publishing, called Finding Purpose. And this will be the theme of all future episodes, as we present client stories from our amazing worldwide Life Between Lives facilitators. Today, I'm in conversation with my lovely colleague, Tianna Roser. Tianna is a Usui Reiki Master Teacher, Soul Plan Practitioner, and Certified Clinical Hypnotist, specializing in past life regression, Life Between Lives regression, and Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, QHHT. She uses tools and processes to help people experience their true self, the source of real healing and growth. Her website is awakeningtransformation.com. Tianna is the author of the book Awakening Transformation, A Beginner's Guide to Becoming Your Higher Self. Her book is filled with practices to lighten your spiritual journey and accelerate growth. Available on Amazon and other booksellers. She also hosts the Beyond the Illusion podcast, an exploration of topics in the spiritual, mystical, ancient, forbidden, and forgotten realms at beyondtheillusionpodcast.com. A very warm welcome to our next episode in the series, Finding Purpose, the companion conversation to our wonderful new book that has just been launched by MNI Publishing, our very first book called Finding Purpose. Today I'm in conversation with my lovely colleague, Tianna Roser. A very warm welcome to you, Tianna.
Thank you, Christine. So happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So on the theme of finding purpose, I'd like to just ask you, why now in the humanity's journey do you feel a sense of purpose may be important for us?
Great question. I think purpose has always been important, across time and space. However, I don't know. I think there's two things that I think of. One is if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Yes.
and it's really like the base level is survival, and if we're focused on survival, we can't be thinking of these loftier things about love or why am I here? We're just trying to exist, right?
Yes.
And I think that in the past, in other eras, that was probably a lot of our energy was just spent on just trying to continue to exist and survive. So we didn't have the time and space to really think deeper about why am I here and what is my purpose. And now for much of the world, we can, we have more time and space because we have our basic survival needs. So there's that. But also me personally, I feel that we're in a powerful time of change and transformation on the planet.
Yes.
My perspective is that there is sort of a big spiritual awakening that's happening on the planet, and we're shifting from old ways of being that no longer serve the whole, that no longer serve the collective. And so these old sort of, hierarchical structures in really all of our systems, whether it's, financial or whether it's our food and it's our health and it's our education, all of these things that served a few at the top and not the whole, they are needing to sort of break down and then clear the way for new systems to come in that are good for the whole. And so we're in a time of a lot of things falling apart, and it's very destabilizing, and it can be terrifying. Just look around at what's happening in the world, and a lot of people, it's just very scary, very terrifying. Everything that you've ever known is changing, and we don't have the new built yet. And I think that our purpose is sort of the life raft or the anchor that holds us safe and steady when the storms are coming through in the world and collective change and we don't know what's happening. When you wake up and you have this focus of when you wake up and you have this focus of, I am here for whatever it is, right? We don't all have the same purpose, but having that is something that we hold on to, that keeps us grounded and focused. And I think that perhaps people, used to feel like, oh, my purpose is to be happy. But we
Yes.
all realize that, oh, sure, absolutely. That's a wonderful experience to be happy, but we don't all get to be happy 24/7. And that's okay when there's something deeper that's pushing us, to grow, to evolve. We can weather those storms because of this deeper reason that we're here.
I completely agree. And I use the same, very same analogy. I can see that, throughout our world, and we often use, terms of good and bad, but obviously with work we do, we have a slightly different perspective on it. But perceivably, it's very chaotic right now. There's a lot of panic, a lot of fear for everybody. So I think those of us that are on the light journey, not just the facilitators, it is a little bit like being a lighthouse. We have to just stand still. We've got to guide, support, and illuminate the way for others. And that just means being resolute and just standing still and being that beacon of light for everybody when they're just not sure what's going to happen. They feel so out of control that they've got to control. So that's a brilliant way to look at it, Tianna. Thank you very much. That's amazing. And similarly, on the theme of purpose, what gives you a sense of purpose?
My greatest purpose is helping others find their purpose. Because again, everything on earth is temporary. Anything material is temporary, and all of these things come and go. And if we latch on to that, and that gives us a sense of meaning or safety, and then it's gone through all sorts of different types of experiences that we have here, that can be devastating. But to,
Yes.
be able to give someone that sense of purpose that there is their compass for life is so fulfilling. And so, and all the different tools and of things that I offer, they're still really focused around that, helping others to align with their purpose, which of course we find from within ourselves. We find
Yes.
our spiritual connections. So being able to have that spiritual connection while being a human on this finite earth is what can bring us the joy and aliveness and fulfillment.
Absolutely. And, I think a lot of people think purpose is always just got to be linked to their vocation in terms of their career, their work, earning money. And, but, it's also about a sense of meaning in their life. And that could be just, looking after your grandchildren. It could be anything, couldn't it? It's what makes your heart warm and comfortable, isn't it? So wonderful. Thank you. Um, your wonderful story, which has come in our beautiful new book, Finding Purpose. It's entitled Our Light is One, and it's about your client, Sandy. And it comes under the collection known as On Connection and Oneness. Would you be able to explain a little bit background to why you were inspired to share this story about Sandy?
Yeah, this story was so beautiful in during the experience and then also after her sharing with me. Um, Part of the reason why she had come was really physical, that she was experiencing these intense migraines and kind of wanting to understand what that's all about. And as you know from being a facilitator, that sometimes people come focused on one thing, and then what they get can be different or so much more in a different aspect of their experience. And for her, the initial past life regression that we did prior to the LBL, she had some lovely experiences of connection, being part of a group of women and so forth. And yet, right after the experience, she sort of discounted it, which sometimes happens as soon as we get out of this higher state, and then we kind of come back into our physical body and our analytical mind focus. And then we start to question, like, oh, was that really real? Or did I make that up? Or, or I wish it could be more, whatever, vivid in this way or more clear in that way. And so she did. I thought, her experience went really well, but she did sort of question some of those things. But then when we went into the life between lives, so yeah, so I wasn't sure how it was going to go for her. I always just trust spirit has a plan for us, and we just trust and allow that to flow in whatever way it's meant to. But she had such a palpable experience during the LBL. And I'm an energy healer, so I feel energy. And I think even other practitioners who maybe don't necessarily work with energy in that way, you still probably, I'm guessing that you might have this experience as well, that during the session, I feel so much energy and
Yes.
upliftment when the client
Yes.
goes into spirit realm. You can feel it, and it's such a blessing for us, right, to be able to experience that. But wow, her whole demeanor, her energy, it got so bright, so ecstatic, almost like, how excited a child can become that we lose touch with as an adult.
Yes.
We
Yes.
just we get so burdened by all of our responsibilities as an adult, and it's hard to kind of touch that pure energy, that ecstatic feeling, that pure joy and lightness and wondrous energy. And that was what she experienced when she connected with her husband's soul in spirit realm, is that their energy came together and it swirled
Yeah.
and joined, and she was just in awe. And just, it was just, her face lit up, the energy in the room got so expansive, and the joy was just so palpable. And as the experience continued with her soul group, and the with her, with her spirit guides,
Mm.
the oneness came in, and the knowing that she is one and that there is no separation. It was just so uplifting, for
Mm.
her and for me to be there in the room with her. And then she reached out to me afterward and told me how she, kind of unexpectedly, that wasn't what she came in for necessarily, but one of the biggest shifts was the deeper spiritual intimacy that she had with her husband afterward, and the ability to sort of let go of a lot of grief that she had been experiencing from the loss of her father. And so those
Yes.
weren't things that she came in necessarily focused on, but they were so, powerful. And just the ability to be more of her soul self, her authentic self in the world, and feel very free. And so it was just so inspiring and uplifting that it was a wonderful experience to share. She was sharing it, she was telling me she's in different spiritual groups, and she was just sharing it with everyone because it had such a powerful effect for her.
I love the fact that you did the past life regression and the life between life back to back. I think there was no cop out. She couldn't get out of that. And when she was experiencing at the end of the past life, where she was experiencing that connection with the women, it was a real liberation for her. I could really feel that energy on the page when I was reading it. And then, of course, to then have the experience the next day, it just completely built upon that. And I think a lot of people have the misconception that, when we come back down to earth from our session and that it ends there. But to some degree, and I found it with my clients, you get so much in the LBL session, but a lot of the magic also happens after the session or continues after the session, because you've got that open portal now to everything that is, and it's there for the taking. And I had a client that aligned it with Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It's all there for you. It's a place of deep soul imagination, and you can receive everything that you need. So it's wonderful that she's carrying it on then through. It's absolutely wonderful. And you've answered the question that I was going to ask you, through LBL, what is your understanding of your client's experience? You've said that absolutely beautiful. And then also the feedback as well from your client as well. I wanted to ask you another question then, Tianna. what brought you? You mentioned that you're an energy healer. So, what was your route to becoming, or route, as you say, to becoming an LBL facilitator?
Yeah, actually, I wasn't raised with any kind of spiritual perspective. I was an atheist and I got my degree in business and I thought I was going to be corporate businesswoman and this was going to fulfill me. And then I got everything that I wanted and I was in my field, marketing, and it was so empty and it was so like like it was like not what I thought it was going to be. And so I went through sort of this period of like questioning, like, oh gosh, this is the path that I thought my life was going to take, and this isn't what I want, and who am I and what do I want? And that got me to start meditating, and through meditation that was what sort of caused this big spiritual awakening where I started to feel energy and so forth. And one of the first books that I read as I opened to spirituality was Journey of Souls. And it was
Mm.
so powerful to me. It was like, yes, this is what feels true to me. I just kind of was connecting to that part of my inner knowing that didn't come from anything that I was taught or anything like that, but
Mm.
it kind of activated that. And so I distinctly remember reading that book and being like, that Michael Newton, what a cool job he has. Like, can't imagine, here I am going into the corporate, office and staying under those like fluorescent lights at a cubicle kind of thing all day and thinking like, wow, how amazing would it be just to like hang out in spirit realm all day and learn the secrets of the universe. But at that time, it didn't dawn on me like, oh, I could do this work because I was at the very beginning of my spiritual journey. And I was just taking everything in. I was reading every book I could find and so forth. And so, a few years passed, a few years passed where I was running a yoga center now. I was running a yoga center, and one of my students came in and was like, oh, I'm reading this really great book, Journey of Souls. And I was like, oh, I've read that book. It is a really good book. So I decided, I think I should reread that book again. And that time when I read the book, it was just like all the bells went off in my head. I'm
Mm.
supposed to do this work. It's so interesting
Mm.
because that didn't happen to me the first time because I wasn't ready yet. And
That's
so this
right.
time when I read it, it was just like, yes, I'm supposed to do this work. And so I looked at the back of the book. How do you become a practitioner? I reached out to the Newton Institute. They told me you need to become a hypnotherapist and have, this, 2 years of, I don't know if the requirements are still the same, but like 2 years of experience and X amount of past life regressions, under your belt. And so I knew at that point and I went about it. And that was so always like becoming a hypnotherapist was really so that I could do life between lives. So
Absolutely.
exactly as soon as I got in the requirements of 2 years and however many past life regressions that was, boom, I reached out to the Newton Institute and went and did the training.
Amazing. It is like that, isn't it? Because there's no fast track to it. You've got to really immerse yourself in one part of it first before you then go and do the other things as well. And you were talking about Sandy as well. Of course, when we do past life regression, we're looking at other times and places and lifetimes and bodies and faces, and we're looking at lives and reoccurring themes and patterns. But when you get into the soul space, soul home, eternal space for your soul, through life between lives, we find that, oh, okay, you've been repeating these patterns, that these same type of people, these same types of episodes that have been going on around you. But when you're in that higher space, it's like you have a much clearer, higher perspective on it and a different vantage point. And then you understand that you have come together. There's an agreement that you've both decided to learn something together, and that, teacher and student, both of you, and that. So it kind of it dissipates and melts away a lot of the stress that people feel through daily life. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I really feel that when we are seeking our purpose, it kind of reminds me of a Rumi quote that I like, what you're seeking is seeking you, something along that lines. I'm not doing it justice, but I really feel that when we're seeking our purpose, then we are aligning ourselves. And so we're going to find, life between lives regression or, whatever that tool is that we need because we bring ourselves into alignment just from our deep, I had a deep desire to be living purpose. And so yeah, I tell that to my clients because a lot of times people are afraid that they're not going to uncover their purpose. But I feel
Yes,
like just the deep desire to want that, because not everybody has that deep desire, and that's okay too. But those that do, there's no way that they are not, going to come into alignment with their purpose. Sometimes it's just
absolutely.
timing, right? So for me, it was just timing. It was just like
It,
I wasn't ready, so it didn't pop into my mind until I was ready.
and I completely agree with you. I did the same thing with the books, with Dr. Michael Newton's books. I read them, and then 5 years later, you're in a completely different space. And then 5 years after that, and the whispers become shouts from the spirit world eventually, from the guides, don't they? And they
Yeah.
think, just do it. So it's amazing how they kind of work. And how many times we've been in bookshops where the book is just gonna fall off the shelf at you. Okay, okay, and it's amazing. Tianna, it's been an absolute joy to speak with you today. Thank you. And for our
Likewise.
viewers, how can they contact you? How can they find you?
The best way is through my website. It's awakeningtransformation.com. So my business is Awakening Transformation. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So, for our viewers that have been listening today, if you haven't already read the book, it's out now, it's been released, and you can find it at all big stockists everywhere around the world. Thank you so much for your time, Tianna. Wish you a lovely
My
day.
pleasure. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. Bye bye for now.
Bye.